Dun, dun, dun. Oh, Steve didn't do all of his work for the show.
I did too this time.
Oh,
Well,
Steve didn't watch the entire documentary.
I watched half of it.
I bet you didn't even watch half.
Well, I don't know. I got to the point where he got married.
Good job, Steve.
Well, that's half, right?
We were supposed to watch a documentary.
No, you weren't. You weren't.
Well,
you always love to point out that Steve's the talent, Richard, which means you're dick.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
No, it's absolutely fine. You just throw your little insults around.
Yeah, it is.
Me and Steve will put on our banana hats and be all whatevs. We care little for your insults.
Okay.
I used to have a banana hat.
Good on you.
It was a giant banana. It was cool.
That is awesome.
I think you said dick in your mouth wrong.
I had a hamburger hat too. And an alligator. And its mouth opened.
It's all good stuff, Steve.
Well, I liked silly hats at one point in my life.
So, should we do this, Steve?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thanks. This is the Fortean Slip, episode 14, the Collect Call of Cthulhu. Welcome. We had decided about, I touched base with you, what was it on, like Monday? Monday or Tuesday?
We actually had a show topic all the way back to almost when the last show ended.
Right. And I sent you a documentary.
Yes.
About the life and works of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes.
And you got a whole, I'm going to say maybe 30 minutes into the documentary.
Well, I read the Wikipedia page too.
Oh.
That's got to count for some. I read the entire Wikipedia page.
Oh, look at you go. I watched the documentary twice, Steve.
Did you read the Wikipedia page?
Most of it.
Oh, never mind.
And I also listened to the Dunwich Horror.
Which, as you have explained to me prior to the show, is from the writing of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, it's considered to be one of the core stories of the Cthulhu mythos. So, yeah, Steve, I'm pretty sure I did a little more research than you.
You ought to be happy at the fact that I even attempted to do research.
I'm amazed that you get your ass out of bed in the morning.
I do every morning, every single morning.
I know. I'm fucking baffled that you do. Hey, have you missed any of the your new show?
We're not talking about the new show on this show.
Why not?
No, we're not talking about it.
Why, Steve?
Because you do bad things.
I don't do anything bad.
And you try to cause bad things to happen.
I have tried to cause no bad things ever, Steve.
Well, no bad things did happen, thank God. And no, I haven't missed any of those shows.
Oh, good on you, Steve.
When was the last time I missed this show? In 5 years, how many times did I miss?
There were more than 5.
Oh, well.
But anyway, I mean, have you been prepared for your new show?
No. No.
Oh, then I feel absolutely fine about everything.
I posted the link one time.
That's it. Whoa.
I've done that for our show in the beginning.
Oh.
Once or twice.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody wants to hear about my new show.
So what did you think about the early life of H.P. Lovecraft that you got to watch in the documentary.
The early life, he didn't die that long after he was married, after he was divorced, actually. I mean, I would listen to most of his life. I didn't listen to most of the documentary.
So you made it to when he got divorced?
No.
Oh.
No, I did not. But I know, I know that when he got married, well, never mind. What did I think of H.P. Lovecraft's early life? Well, the guy was a fucking wacko. And his mother was a wacko.
He was a wacko.
And his father was probably insane.
His father, according to the Wikipedia page, his father had syphilis.
Well, that'll drive you insane.
But
Eventually.
it's the Wikipedia page.
Right, I didn't know.
In the documentary, they just say that he was committed to an asylum and that he died in the asylum.
I believe at the very beginning they say he had syphilis in the documentary, but I can't. I'm not. I might be mixing the two.
I actually fucking watched it twice. I could have missed it. I don't know, but his father died when he was like 8. He was raised by his mother, and his mother was like wicked overbearing. From what they said in the documentary.
It was almost to the point of gross. I mean, weirdness. You know what I mean? She loved her son a little too much. I'm guessing.
From the way they portrayed it in the documentary, yes, I would agree with you.
Yeah. And on the Wikipedia page. In fact, I think the Wikipedia went a little more in depth than the documentary did, at least the parts that I watched, and talked a lot more about her relationship with her son. Mm-hmm. Her name was Susie, by the way, right?
Susan. Yeah, her name was Susan or Susie.
But most people apparently called her Susie, but yeah. And it was weird because you could tell that she was like one of these overprotective parents, but yet she'd go out in public and say how ugly her son was and like degrade him and demean him in public. But in private, she was like really protective, and I don't know. She wanted him. I think she wanted him to succeed, but she didn't want him to leave the house either.
Right. And for those of you that don't know, I'll kind of read a little blurb about Lovecraft from the Wikipedia. And it starts out, Howard Phillips Lovecraft was an American writer who achieved posthumous fame through his influential works of horror fiction. He was virtually unknown and published only in pulp magazines before he died in poverty, but he is now regarded as one of the most significant 20th century authors of his genre. Lovecraft was born in Providence, Rhode Island, where he spent most of his life. Among his celebrated tales are The Rats in the Walls, The Call of Cthulhu, At the Mountains of Madness, and The Shadow Out of Time, all canonical. I hope I fucking pronounced that right. To
Close
the
enough.
Cthulhu mythos. Lovecraft was never able to support himself from earnings as an author and editor. He saw commercial success increasingly elude him in this latter period, partly because he lacked the confidence and drive to promote himself. Supposedly, he thought his work was shit.
I guess if you read into him more, he was super, super hard on himself.
Oh yeah, like one of the authors that's talking in the documentary. I can't remember which one, but they were like, any budding writer who thinks that they suck should go back and read Lovecraft's take on himself. He thought his work was just dog shit.
But if it got published, if he actually sent it to a publisher, you can bet that he had gone over that with a fine-tooth comb and probably spent more time editing than he ever did writing the entire thing. You know what I mean? Rewriting probably more time. I mean, because it had to be perfect in his mind.
Right.
And then
he was a perfectionist in his own craft.
Yeah.
And his writing was strange. Like I actually started listening to the Call of Cthulhu because I was torn between what I should listen to. And I didn't know if I should listen to that or the Dunwich Horror. And I decided to listen to the Dunwich Horror, which reads like a history of what happened. It doesn't read like a normal book. It isn't like, a telling of a story as it's happening. It's a telling of a story from after it happened. Almost like I'm trying to think of the fucking word I'm looking for here. It's not, I don't want to say contrived. It's very rigid and in parts, and it kind of goes through the eyes of the people who went through it. But it's really interesting. Now, the Call of Cthulhu reads even differently from that. That's like all like articles and shit, all pieced together. So I didn't want to listen to it because I was afraid in listening to it, it would kind of fuck up how you're supposed to see it.
I don't think, from what I understand, it was so fucked. Everything he wrote was fucked up. I mean, it was really like science fiction horror-y type stuff.
Yeah, the Dunwich Horror was pretty strange. It was about this family where basically the father pimps out his fucking albino daughter to Yog Gasoth or some fucking one of the old ones anyway, one of the Cthulhu old one bullshit. Well, Cthulhu's one of them, but these old ones, these creatures from beyond. And he basically pimps his daughter out to this thing, and it fucks her, and she gets pregnant, and she gives birth to this child, which by the age of 10 is like 8 feet tall and basically like a full-grown man.
Interesting.
But looks like very strange. And come to find out, she had twins. Well, the other fucking child didn't resemble fucking humanity at all. It was like this blob of fucking tentacles and
Satan's spawn.
Right. And I don't want to ruin it for anybody like who wants to, go listen to it. A lot of his work is on YouTube. If you want to just go listen to it, there's readings of it. Like I listened to the Dunwich Horror like right before the show. I did enjoy it, but it's very odd to listen to. And I wonder if it would be easier to read it. And I actually have like the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft. It's all packed away. I have to go through all my shit, but I have it. And I want to go back and start reading some of his stuff because I was very intrigued by the way the story was told. It's not what I'm used to. It's not very conventional.
Well, I think he was probably a writer that was ahead of his time and what he was doing and what he was trying to do anyway.
Right.
And he influenced so many people, and Stephen King's one of them.
Yeah. So, in the documentary, Peter Straub says that Stephen King's The Mist is a direct result of H.P. Lovecraft.
So without H.P. Lovecraft, you wouldn't have the Stephen King that you have now anyway. Because
I don't know that you wouldn't have him, but he definitely had an impact on Stephen King. I'd go so far as to say he had an impact on Clive Barker. He definitely had an impact on John Carpenter. He's in the documentary. Guillermo del Toro. Who else is in that documentary? Well, Peter Straub, I just mentioned, and Neil Gaiman. But from what I could tell, his work was very odd, and you have to get used to reading it. And all of his stuff was just short stories for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think he ever wrote anything that was novel length.
Oh, he did.
Did he? Well, he
Yeah.
wrote a lot of letters and
Yeah,
shit.
he wrote well, they might have been like novellas, but I think At the Mountains of Madness and The Shadow Out of Time are both books. And
Right, but he
and the Necromonicon was a book that he wrote that was completely fiction that people bought into.
I've heard of that one before. Now I can't say that I
Almost
know anything about
everybody's
it.
fucking heard of the Necromonicon.
Yeah, but I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know anything about it. I just know that I've heard the name before.
So like the whole idea was he wrote this thing, and it's basically like a book of spells on how to raise these demons or old ones or whatever the fuck you want to call them. He referred to them as the old ones, like Cthulhu, Yogg-Sothoth, or whatever the fuck the other one was. But see, the thing is that all of these names of all these these beings, you're not supposed to be able to pronounce them. Like the letters are just a representation. And
I
even
see.
Lovecraft said that. And I guess he had wrote down like how you're supposed to pronounce Cthulhu, and it's not supposed to sound like that. It's supposed to be 2 syllables.
I noticed that people were pronouncing it different even within that documentary.
Yeah, it's weird, and that's the whole point of it, is that like you're not supposed to be able to pronounce it. So anyone's pronunciation is not wrong
Or right.
or right. Correct. So, but we're not supposed to be able to make those sounds. They're just a representation. And in that, he's kind of fucking genius, in
Right.
laying that forth. But his work it's pretty fucking strange. One of my favorite films is very Lovecraft based, and that's In the Mouth of Madness by John Carpenter. Very underrated horror movie, if you ask me. I mean, it's not fucking great. Like, it's not going to change your life. Like, you're not going to get done and be like, oh, that fucking deserved an Oscar. But it's a great fucking horror movie.
Horror is not my favorite genre. I don't watch a lot of it. My wife does a little bit, but I'm not a big fan. So, what would be, besides that particular one, what would be something that I would know that was H.P. Lovecraft influenced?
Reanimator.
I haven't seen it.
See, In the Mouth of Madness. Yeah, that one's kind of.
Did they ever make any movies or any, I don't know, anything off of one of his writings, or no? I mean, has any of this Cthulhu stuff been done into a movie?
I know Reanimator is based on his works. I can't. I'm drawing a fucking blank. And In the Mouth of Madness is not based off of his work. It's just very
In the style of.
right. It's very much in the style. In the Mouth of Madness is about this insurance investigator. He investigates insurance cases to so that the insurance company doesn't have to pay when people try to fuck them over.
Right. You were telling me about it before.
And this author disappears. This author who's like writing all these really fucked up fucking, books that all take place in this same town. I think it's called Hobbs End. And the insurance investigator teams up with this chick from the publishing company to try and go find him. And they wind up traveling to this fucking town that's in his books that doesn't exist. And then all hell breaks loose. But
sounds like a good one. I'll have to watch it.
But it's very it actually starts out at the end, which is weird. Because it starts out with Sam Neill's character. He's the one that plays the insurance investigator. He's in an insane asylum. and he's telling his story. So in that, it's very Lovecraft-esque because it's the story being told from the end.
Right. They were referencing one story in the documentary that I found that I would like. I don't remember what the name of the story was. I was kind of falling asleep, but I do remember that it was a story that was being told, and like all these people were running from this monster, and there was a monster, but in the end, the guy couldn't figure out what the monster was, and then he gets up and goes and looks out his window or something, and he sees his reflection, and it's him. He's the monster.
He's the fucking monster. Yeah.
So that one I wanted to look into deeper because that sounded like a really cool way to do it. But he didn't know.
His horror concepts were, like you said, way ahead of their fucking time.
Well, they had to be. I mean,
he was writing this shit in the the early 1900s,
1920s, 30s.
Yeah. The Dunwich Horror,
even earlier than that.
The Dunwich Horror was published in 1929.
It's just all these like creatures and characters he made up were very science fiction-y, which wasn't even a thing then. We didn't really get into the science fiction phase until the 40s and 50s and 60s, and so I mean, like creatures from other worlds and things like that. I
remember the exact. One of the science fiction ones that he wrote, which they toted in that documentary, was The Color Out of Space, and that sounded very interesting to me. Like this meteor falls to Earth, and these people go to look at it, and there's this thing in it. And it's this color that they can't even describe. There's like nothing that they can equate it with. And then all these people that come in contact with this thing or that are around this thing, I think they wind up dying, or I can't remember how they exactly said it went. But I think it was John Carpenter that said that it's a great movie. And then he corrected himself and he goes, no, it would make a great movie, but I don't know how you'd do the color.
It seems to me that in the end of most of, or if not all of Lovecraft's writings, that it didn't end good for anybody ever. I mean, everybody dies, or everybody. I mean, it's bad, or they're the monster, or whatever.
Yeah, he was a lot of his work was very dark, very very dark.
And they were saying that was a reflection on him, how he felt about himself, and maybe his inside. That's how he felt. So he was just putting that down on paper in a.
Well, almost everyone described his work as there's all this terror and this fear, and when it starts out, and it just builds. Like it's weird. Like in the Dunwich Horror, you don't really like. There's all these little references and like things that kind of skirt around the other child, and like that it's there and that things are happening, but you don't really know because you don't know if it's Wilbur, the other child, the one that's like looks kind of human. So, and then at the end, like there's people kind of seeing the thing, but they don't see anything. So I don't want to completely ruin it for anybody that wants to fucking read it or listen to it. But it is a great little story. About a guy pimping out his daughter to fucking demon, and then raising these two children.
I wonder
so that they can take over the world.
I mean, it sounds like almost like a religion almost that he was making up in his mind, kind of like what's his name did the Scientology stuff. It's kind of on that level.
Well, what's interesting is after he wrote the Necromonicon, other authors started using it in their work, referencing it. And that kind of led to this idea of the fact that maybe this thing does kind of exist, which is is weird. And I can remember being in high school and people in high school going, "Have you heard about the Necromonicon, man? You know, you can summon demons. They sell it right in a fucking bookstore, man." And I guess for it was one of those things where like for a couple of steps, I bought into it, and then I was like, you do a little bit of research, and it's like it's fucking fiction.
Well, yeah, but maybe it's not. Maybe he was writing that as
Maybe
fiction.
Lovecraft talked to the old ones.
Maybe. And maybe he
Mhm.
had to write it as fiction to pass it off as something to read, and it fooled
The
us all.
greatest trick the devil ever pulled was
Well, my
convincing the
mom,
world.
not my
he
mom,
did this.
my church used to say things like that about, playing Dungeons and Dragons or reading anything that wasn't Christian based and, what
Well,
we
I
call
do
it.
believe in God, Ancient Coolion.
I'm just saying, so even if you don't buy into the fact that the Necromonicon was
And the only thing that scares me is H.P. Lovecraft.
if you don't buy into the fact that it was anything but fiction, even then, according to some people, you shouldn't read it because it breeds that sort of thinking. So, but I never thought that way, obviously. But we couldn't play certain games and watch certain TV shows and things of that nature because we might get the wrong ideas, that kind of thing.
That's devil stuff.
Right.
You can't play Dungeons and Dragons. You'll go insane.
Well, they didn't want us casting spells and shit. They didn't want us to get into that because that would lead
to
what
witchcraft
you did or whatever.
When you rolled dice.
I have no idea. They didn't want us to watch the Smurfs because there was that kind of stuff in it. That kind of thing.
No, that was different, Steve.
Oh, that's what I was told.
They just didn't want you to understand that all those Smurfs were men and there was one female Smurf.
Mm.
They didn't want you to put two and two together, Steve.
Right.
There's some sick shit going on there, Steve.
I'm guessing there was. Why was there only one? That's...
Steve. So much you have to learn.
Well, I mean,
so much, Steve.
Where'd all the other female Smurfs go? Or were there never any? And she was the only one.
I guess you'll have to do some research, Steve. Maybe this is time for Steve Alcorn, Smurf investigator.
Well, there's a time for everything.
Yeah.
And everything there's a time, yeah.
You were at one time a fine investigator.
At one time. I actually put some of my investigative skills to work this weekend, and I'm happy to say it panned out, and I learned some things.
You did?
Yes, I did.
What'd you learn, Steve?
Well, there's a gentleman who wanted to do some business with me, and I decided I'd look into his background, and I found out that I'm not doing business with this guy. That's all.
Look at you go, Steve.
Yeah,
look at you looking into people's background.
Hey, guess what? Dude's a psychologist. How come all fucking psychologists that we know of are wacko? Why?
Somebody once said to me, I won't state who it is. Someone very close to this person was in college becoming a psychology major. And this person said to me, do you seriously think that people go into psychology, go into it just so that they can help other people? They're just as fucked up.
I'll tell you, I walked into this guy's office where he does his psych evals, right? Mm-hmm. And on his wall is his, license to practice.
Right.
And his college degree and whatnot. And he went to a really well-respected college, not no quack school or anything like that. But on his wall was
a quack school, Steve?
Well, he didn't get it out of a mail order catalog, that kind of thing. It was a real school. So on his wall is his license to practice, and it's up there with, one of those clips that you you clip papers together, but it's not a paper clip. It's like it's got the spring action in it, and you clip several papers together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like all crumpled up. This is his license on the wall, all crumpled up, and like he had it in his back pocket and flattened it out and put it on the wall. No frame, nothing like that.
Like he took it out of the trash.
Well, basically, that's what I looked at. I'm like, that's the first thing I see when and his office was like 30 square feet, maybe. I mean, it was so small you could barely fit in there. And I'm like, dude, you're a you're a psychologist, and somebody walks in here, and that's the first thing they're going to see. They're going to have a lot of fucking trust in you. And I guess I was reading the reviews he had on Yelp or one of those websites, and the review was like, dude came to the psych eval in a dirty t-shirt with holes in it and sweatpants. That's how he sees his clients.
Nice.
Nice. But anyway, so yes, you'd be proud of me. I did some investigating.
Look at you investigating away, Steve. You're a good
I
guy.
also found his Amazon, eBay, and web stores. So very nice.
Fucking amazing, Steve. How do you do
I'm
it?
good at that.
How do you do it?
I don't know, because I'm kind of rusty. I haven't done it in a while.
You're rusty?
Yeah. I also found several lawsuits against the guy, but we won't go into that on this show because he might be listening, and I don't want
to. Is that so?
Well, yeah, he's just a loser.
Oh,
and get this, okay? I'm in the checkout line at Goodwill the other day, and he's two people in front of me. The one lady who's super, super nice, and she's always really, good to me. She gives me the good prices. If there's something not marked, she'll price it for me, and they're not supposed to do that. She's not waiting on him. She has the other girl waiting on him. And I'm like, I wonder what's going on there. Next person checks out. I hear them talking. Dude has lots of money, trust me. Beautiful home, because I've seen it on Google Earth. He's stealing books from Goodwill.
Yeah.
Stealing books from Goodwill. You know how much books at Goodwill are? At our Goodwill?
They're pretty cheap.
Five for 89 cents. And he's stealing them so he can sell them on Amazon. I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
But they can't catch him. They know he's doing it, but they can't catch him. So she won't wait on him.
There are scumbags out there.
And he's a psychologist.
I don't know what to tell you.
Reminds me of another psychologist we know. He's a psychologist, right, Richard? That dude over in Oregon.
You're asking the producer that never speaks. He probably fell asleep.
He was out and back in. I wonder what's going on there.
He was out?
Yeah, if you look, it said Richard left, Richard came back. Anyway, so H.P. Lovecraft. I don't think we can talk about Mr. Lovecraft without mentioning the fact of his extreme, horrible racism.
H.P. Lovecraft?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he was considered a xenophobe. He was afraid of people from irrationally afraid of people from other countries. So,
and it turned out, and you said before the show, he married a Jewish woman,
right?
And
which
his
is
best friend
weird.
his best friend turned out to be homosexual, which would have blown his mind at the time,
Yeah, it all, the way he was ultimately gave us his art, because I honestly think if he hadn't been the way that he was, he wouldn't have looked at those things the way that he did.
So you think that his extreme fear of,
his extreme fear
anybody but white
of the
English
outside
people.
world, I think that was why, his books came off the way that, or his writings came off the way that they did. All of this fear.
I think Richard's having internet difficulties.
I
He keeps
do.
coming out.
We have
And
two.
now he's here twice. Oh my
Yes,
God.
We have two Richards. They're both muted.
Thank God. Can you imagine
If
a
he
world with two Richard
if
Allens?
he unmutes, will he talk in stereo? These are the things that I wonder.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we fucking lost him for the night, though.
Yeah, whatever. Go to bed, Richard.
Yeah, go to bed. Yeah.
No, we lost one, Richard.
Yeah. Richard left the chat. Richard joined the chat. Richard left the chat. I don't fucking know where he is.
It's what our high quality producer.
He's fucking reading from the Necromonicon.
Maybe
Trying to change his ferret into a fucking tentacle monster. I don't know what the fuck
A
that.
ferret would do less damage as a tentacle monster.
Less damage as a tentacle monster?
Yeah, they're far more.
That's a bold
Far
statement,
more.
son. What the fuck?
I didn't hear half of his sentence there.
He can't even finish his fucking. He's half
drunk.
asleep. His internet's probably not working. And you know,
I just realised I'd muted myself halfway through talking there. That was dumb.
We're gonna blame it on. We'll blame it on Brexit.
Good job.
Ferrets have the optimal physical form for the damage they do. Okay, tentacles would just complicate the matter.
I disagree.
Tentacles
I've seen me
with
some
claws.
Japanese. I've seen me some Japanese anime there, Richard.
That's hentai, not anime. There's a difference.
Yeah, those fucking tentacle monsters fuck some pussy up.
They're better at it than you are.
They fucking wreck pussy, Richard. Literally. They rip it apart.
All over it. They're like, yeah, it's disturbing stuff.
Yeah. There's fucking disturbing people out there.
They are messed up. But back to that original point, the best psychologists in the world are really messed up. When we look at Sigmund Freud, he was a coke addict and obsessed with his mother.
Yeah. And probably really wrong about a lot of things.
Well, opinion is divided. You're either a Freudian or a Jungian, really, when it comes to psychology. Both individuals are incredibly messed up. I mean, Matthew Johnson, is a very good psychologist, but, you know, he is incredibly messed up.
Well, it seems like most of them are. And I'm not, it's not if you're a psychologist, I don't mean you're all messed up. The ones that I know of, Matthew Johnson, for example, and the guy that I met the other day.
Are you saying Matthew Johnson is fucked up?
I'm saying there's,
in your opinion,
certainly something different about the guy. You know, Matthew Johnson being the psychologist from Oregon, who is a Bigfoot
Describe different,
guy.
Steve.
He's fucked up. That's my description of Matthew Johnson.
Are you trying to tell me that a man that believes that Bigfoot comes through portals as energy and symbiotically joins with trees is a fucked up person, Steve? Did up become down?
Mm-hmm. But these are the people that we have evaluating other people, and that scares me. And once I knew that, I didn't even know this guy. I've known this guy for a while. This guy that was asked me to. He wanted me to sell some stuff for him, and he tells me that he's got all this stuff he wants me to just look at to buy. Then when I get to his office, he totally does like a 180 and wants me to do it all on consignment for him, which I won't do. I won't do that.
He was like, unzip your fly, Steve.
But no, he's using all this, trying to use psychology on me. And like, I can't see a downside for you on this. And all that, he just keeps going and going with this. He shows me
that's
like
right,
6
Steve.
pieces
You're in my office.
garbage.
If your pants are off and I'm sucking your cock, it's not homosexuality.
No, there was no cock sucking going on or pants zipping.
It was just eBay stuff, right?
Yes.
Oh, I was trying to make it
interesting.
But
he shows me a table full of stuff that's not sold.
Dildos.
I mean, it's just yard sale stuff at best, if then. And
anal beads.
There was none of that.
Oh.
But
Cock
he's
rings?
going on and on about all this stuff he has prior to me getting there, and then he shows me garbage. Oh, all the good stuff's at my house. Well, why didn't you bring some of that good stuff so I could see it? But he keeps going on and on about how there's no downside for me, because I'm the one controlling all the money, but the whole thing was like a contrived thing just to get me to say yes, and I wasn't going to do it, because I'm not going to. First of all, I don't sell on consignment for anybody because I get screwed every time I do that. And second of all, I'm not going to do it for some guy who's had several court hearings and is a fucked up psychologist who has a crumpled up piece of paper on his wall. You know what I mean? So the guy's just fucked up in the head.
That ironically he probably bought on eBay.
No, he earned it. I mean, I looked into his background. He went to school, he earned it. He has a master's degree. But he's selling books on Amazon and being a psychologist at the same time. I don't know. Just crazy.
Wow.
I bet you he sold some of H.P. Lovecraft stuff.
What if he didn't?
Well, then I'm wrong.
Yeah. You tend to be wrong about a lot of stuff, Steve.
So I do. Yes, I am wrong about 99% of the things that I say. But I'm wondering here how much we should think about H.P. Lovecraft's writings, and then the other side where he was this immense racist, xenophobe, or whatever you called him.
It was a different time. You were allowed to be a bit racist.
I get that it was a different time, but he wasn't a bit racist, Richard. He was like extreme. And should that play into the writing? Should we look at both sides of this and say, maybe I just shouldn't read this guy's shit because of his extreme racism?
Well, it's not like in the Call of Cthulhu, for example. It's like Cthulhu appeared from the waters and killed all the black people. There was black death everywhere. Black people dying left, right, and center.
Dude, in one of his fucking stories, the guy's cat is named Nigger Man.
Dude, you can't say that. You can't say that.
I can fucking say that in reference to what it fucking was.
You can't, dude. You can't say that word.
Why is it so much more fucking okay to say the fucking N-word? You might as well say the fucking word.
I think it's okay to say it if it's in reference to a piece of literary history, because it was the case. Even in Tom Sawyer, that word, right? Huck Finn, that word appeared several times. And they tried to ban that from schools, which is bullshit.
So we should just forget about that happened.
In my opinion, if you try to erase that stuff, then you're going to repeat it someday, because
it's revisionist history is what it is.
Yeah. I don't want revisionist history. I want to know all the shit, and I want to know the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Because if you erase all the bad, then all you got left is, honey and fucking sugar. I don't want that.
Sugar?
Yeah.
That isn't the analogy or the metaphor I would view, Steve.
I just made something up out of my head. I don't even think that is an analogy and or metaphor. It's just something that popped in my mind. But you know what I mean. You don't want all the sweet without the sour. You got to have a balance if you're trying to read history. And I guess what I'm saying here is that in H.P. Lovecraft's case, if he hadn't been that guy, that xenophobe, he wouldn't have written that way. So that does play into it, and you have to appreciate the writing because of what he was.
Well, here's the thing. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. I don't fucking know. But like, one of the things that really bothered me was when they started, like, when all this fucking sexual harassment or sexual assault or whatever the fuck you want to call it came out in Hollywood or wherever. They were trying to like scrub fucking movies and shows from the record.
Yeah,
Like
it's
shit just
bullshit.
got ripped off of Netflix and and listen, you can't get rid of the body of work. It happened.
Right. But I think, with H.P. Lovecraft, you keep that body of work, but you also keep in mind what type of guy he was.
Right. And in retrospect, we can look at him as the xenophobe that he was and see how that translated into his writing.
Right. You don't have to love the guy, but you can like his writing. You can like the fact that without
what's interesting is you can kind of love the guy in a way, because look at any movie where they humanize a serial killer or whatever, or Dexter for fucking case in point. They humanize this fucking serial killer, so you like him.
Right. Doesn't subtract from the fact that he's a serial killer.
It doesn't
You're right.
subtract from the fact that he's fucking killing people. Oh, they're bad people. Yeah, but he's still killing people.
I watched the first, I think, how many seasons of Dexter are there?
I don't fucking know.
I watched, I think, the first two. I think I watched the first. I think I watched all of them. It was a great show. Great show.
It was a good show. But they do that with a lot of those, serial killers in entertainment.
So I guess what I'm saying is you can't dismiss.
You empathize with them.
You can't dismiss H.P. Lovecraft out of hand just because he was a racist, or anybody for that matter. Even
you can. It is your absolute right to dismiss him.
Right. I'm just saying
you totally can dismiss him.
That's the right way to go about
it. That ultimately we should look at his writing and look at the person that he was. He was a fucking recluse. He would have been a fucking weirdo by today's standards, and back then, like, he was a real fucking strange guy. And he wrote all these weird fucking stories. I'm sure.
And they were good.
Yeah. Obviously his work grew over time.
Exactly, Richard. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, just keep talking so that we can't hear you because your internet connection sucks.
I was just saying, by today's standards, I think that H.P. Lovecraft would fit in nice with the teenage girls killing each other to please the Slender Man and all the other fucked up shit that happens on a regular basis.
If H.P. Lovecraft
just be total fodder for his writing, is that what you're saying?
It'd be normal by today's standard.
His writing, yes. I don't think his writing would stand out today. Back then it did, but it stood out in a way that I don't think people understood it, and so that's why he never made any real money at it.
He started to, and they assume that had he lived longer and kept writing, he would have gained some fame.
Right, and a lot of the people who are writing right alongside of him in those, pulp magazines did gain a lot of fame, like H.G. Wells and some of the others that were writing at the time. And they started that way. I mean, they all started that way. But he may have, but he was even farther, I think, beyond than those guys. It farther advanced in his writing as far as before his time,
Well, what's really interesting is two of the horror icons of early horror both died fucking dirt poor and weren't recognized until later on, long after they were gone. And that's Edgar Allan Poe and fucking Lovecraft.
And I guess Lovecraft was a big
He was a Poe fan. He actually, later on in his life, he thought that he had just copied authors of old, one of which was Poe. And he's like, where are my Lovecraft pieces? Where's my Lovecraft work? The stuff that's mine.
Well, then in the beginning, he was writing a lot like Poe, from what I understand from the documentary or from the wiki page or whatever. But
Mhm.
he wrote a lot like Poe, and then changed up, and it was more of I lost Richard again. Was more of his own, But
Yeah,
he
they
never felt
said that
that he
at the end of the documentary, they said that he was coming into himself. I think it was At the Mountains of Madness. They said was the book that he really was coming into himself.
I think what's the most interesting thing that I learned about Lovecraft is not his writing as far as the short stories, but he wrote letters. He loved to write letters, and I guess he wrote over 100,000 letters. And that's where you learn more about H.P. Lovecraft than any of the writings he did, is from the letters he wrote. What type of person he was.
He was definitely a strange cat.
It'd be interesting to read all those. I'm sure they've been put into book form somewhere.
And he definitely left his imprint on horror and science fiction. So
Just not in his own time. It just happened after.
He never lived to see it.
And maybe even, I mean, like I said, Stephen King, and you mentioned a few. Those are pretty contemporary writers. They're all still writing. So it's like he's coming into his own even more now than ever.
Well, his subject matter is definitely being used by other authors throughout time.
Right.
After him. And there were authors that pushed to get his works published that weren't published. And then there were authors that, were of course borrowing from him and talking about the Necromonicon in their own writing, like referring to it like it was a real fucking thing.
I wonder though. I wonder if that when we're long gone, we'll start making some money.
If what?
When we're long gone, after we all die,
mm-hmm.
the show will then eventually take off and we'll make money. But we'll be dead,
why not?
So we can't spend it. Sure. I think that's what's going to happen. I think.
Are you saying we're ahead of our time, Steve?
I think so. I think people in the future are going to look back on this and say, "Wow, let's give that show some money," and then, like, our descendants will make money off of it. I think that's how it's going to go.
I think it'd be hilarious if, like, because of this show, the Resellers Breakfast Club becomes world famous.
All right, we're not supposed to mention that show on this show. You guys said no eBay shit, so you can't mention that.
What was that? Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, Steve?
No, Wednesdays and Fridays.
Tuesdays, Thursdays, 8 a.m.
That's right. The Resellers
8 a.m.
I'm going to warn you.
8 a.m. Pacific time.
Support Steve.
Did you listen to it, Richard?
I did.
I watched for you in the chat, and you never showed up. Ballless son of a bitch.
You told me not to talk in the chat.
I said don't be an asshole in the chat.
But I did listen to it.
Don't try to troll me. And I was awesome, wasn't I?
Yes, you were definitely the highlight of that show.
You think so? Now you're going to give me a big head.
Those other guys are like, fuck off. Just let Steve do all the talking. They don't need to be there.
I'll let them know that
just be you.
That way. I think so.
Just be you and a big eBay sign behind you.
Those guys are way far advanced than I am. I mean, they're way ahead of me. So that's why I'm there. I'm gonna be honest right here. I'm on that show for selfish reasons. I'm not on that show to be.
Listen, Steve's gonna be honest. Show. He's never gonna promote the Fortean Slip on that show.
Never. Not in a million years.
But we will promote the Resellers Breakfast Club on Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 8 a.m.
As long as you behave, you're welcome to listen.
We will promote that. But Steve will never.
You watch me. I will. Hey, if you guys want to listen to this shithole show, shit
not
show
supposed
that I
to.
do on Sunday nights, go ahead and listen to the Fortean Slip.
It's a shit show, Steve.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes
How dare you?
I think we're on point tonight, Steve.
I think tonight was actually one of our more informative, and this is what happens when I do a little bit of study, a little bit of research.
That's right.
This is
Yeah,
what happens
actually have
when
a-
you watch
This is
Interesting.
half a
see, Steve.
documentary.
This is what happens when you do half the work. Imagine if you did it all. Like, imagine if you did all of the work. Like, how well this show would go off.
We could have done a lot more work, and we should have spent weeks looking at. I mean, it would take really a long time to understand Lovecraft.
What
So,
the fuck is happening with your audio?
my audio? I think it's all Chris.
Thought that was my internet connection, but at least
No,
you can
it's-
hear it as well.
Yeah, I can hear it as well, so it's not just me.
It's so bad.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really bad.
Yeah, you just suck, Steve.
Let
I don't know what to
me,
tell you.
let me fix the problem. I'll be right back.
Yes, fix the problem, Steve. Thank you.
I don't. Overall, though, I'm a big fan of the H.P. Lovecraft short stories. I mean, it's good. It is a bit weird, but it's good weird.
Like I said, I've never read him. I'd heard about the guy, but I'd never read any of his stuff. I knew that he had a huge impact on horror. But I'd literally never sat down and read. I bought the complete works of his writings. I have it. It's all in one bound book. It's packed away. And I just decided, I'll definitely dig it out. Like I said, after listening to the Dunwich Horror tonight, I'm very intrigued to read some of his other stuff, and I don't want to listen to the Call of Cthulhu because I definitely want to read it because I don't think someone else reading it is going to do it justice.
Yeah, I've never really been a fan of audiobooks, if I'm honest. I like having them in my hand and reading them.
No, I do as well, but there are some times where it's easy to just pop the audiobook on.
Yeah, I suppose if you're working or something.
Right, if you're working or like when I used to drive doing deliveries, I'd friggin' pop a book on. I'd blow through books. I blew through a couple of the Game of Thrones books in like no time, just popping them on while I was in the car.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I can see the
And
benefits of doing it.
sometimes you're gonna find people who are reading the books that you can't stand them. So there's sometimes that you're not gonna be able to deal with it. But excuse me, as long as the person reading the novel or whatever it is doing a decent job, yeah, I can sit and listen to it. But like I said, I listened. I can't remember the guy that was reading the Dunwich Horror, but they've done a bunch of Lovecraft stuff, and if you look on YouTube, there's so much of it because I believe it's all you're allowed to use any of it because it's no longer like copyrighted or
It's
whatever.
referenced like everywhere. I mean, Cthulhu is up there with Slender Man. Dunwich gets referenced a lot in video games.
I can't even think of what the actual word is. Steve would know if he was still here, but he left to fix his fucking audio. What the word is that I'm looking for, or the term, the stuff like that you can use. Is it free use?
Yeah, I believe it'd be free use, fair use.
No, I don't. I'm fucking being dumb at this point because I just don't know, and I'm guessing. So, like I said, yeah, Steve would definitely know because he's the one that told me about it before. But yeah, I mean, I definitely loved the short story. It was good. It kept me interested, and I kind of knew the gist of it from watching the documentary. Like the documentary goes into it, like the basis of the story. So I knew what I was getting into going in.
He was an incredibly fucked up individual.
Yeah, and like I said, his writing style is very strange. and it takes some getting used to.
It's therapy, really. I mean, he's just exercising his personal demons.
Yeah,
through the
I think that
medium
was a
of a
lot
pen
of
and
it.
paper.
Because he's looking at all of this stuff, and all of his fear and his terror about the outside world and strange things. To him, it's definitely what it was. If you ask me,
Yeah.
it's very apparent in his writing. But some genius fucking stuff from the sounds of it. I mean, just from the one I listened to, I'm definitely going to go through and read some of his stuff.
Oh yeah, everyone should read H.P. Lovecraft books at least once.
I don't know that
They're
I'm
really
gonna,
good.
I don't know that I'm going to sit down and read the entire works. I may, but I don't know that I'm going to. But I'm definitely going to read like the Call of Cthulhu and the Color Out of Space, and I don't know if I want to read through the Reanimator stuff. That was like an ongoing thing that he did, wasn't it? Because I can't remember if it was ongoing or if it was just one piece. But I want to say it was that it was released in different pulp magazines, and it was like a building thing. What was that? You fucking keep breaking up too. No, ma, nah, me, no. That's all I'm fucking hearing. This is awesome, Richard. This is great. This is podcasting at its best, right fucking here. Tonight's shitty show was brought to you by Richard's fucking internet connection and Steve. Awesome shit. Steve, are you back?
I don't know.
Yes, you are. Thank God. Whew.
Richard was holding show.
Yeah, well, we got auto-tune Richard. That didn't make any sense.
I don't know how long my computer's got real slow. I put the bandwidth down all the way as far as possible, so hopefully I'll be able to stay on.
All right.
It happens,
Steve,
once in a while.
what is it called when something's been around for so long that anybody can use it?
That would be public domain.
Public domain. I knew you'd know the fucking term.
Well,
because I do believe that all of his stuff is public domain.
Really?
I believe so, because all of his stuff is on YouTube. All the readings.
Huh. So, yeah, it's possible because most of his stuff was done.
In the early 1900s.
Yeah, prior to the 1940s, because he died in 1932, 37. So yeah.
Yeah,
so Richard and I
he died at the age of 47.
Richard and I both are having computer issues tonight, so.
Yeehaw.
Hey, he died a young man. Pretty young man.
My entire desktop just froze.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe something's going on here. Maybe there's some sort of conspiracy.
Voodoo.
We've angered Cthulhu.
Somebody's using the Necromonicon or whatever that's called to cast a spell on our show.
Well, we've definitely angered some people. I don't know if it's Cthulhu, but
the Necromonicon.
We've ruined everyone's night. That's always fun, Steve.
Hey, this is a professionally done show. We're all pros here, and we are going with the flow, and we're not letting it bother us. Pros.
Well, I'm sure Chris will be flogging us after this show.
I should.
Hey, there's nothing you can do about Mother Nature. There's nothing you can do about internet providers. I mean, it's just the fact of life.
death and taxes and internet providers.
It is what it
They're
is.
gonna need to. They're gonna need to put that on that saying. We'll have to go back in time.
And an addendum. Yeah.
We'll go back in time and make it happen. Maybe I should just go to the news and call the show. Huh?
I think so. Do you have any news, Steve?
I do. In tonight's lead story, and probably the best one of the night, there's some new evidence allegedly in the DB Cooper hijacking.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is from courthousenews.com. So
if the FBI would like to find DB Cooper, they can find him in our chat room every Sunday night at 9:30.
That's right.
Eastern Standard Time.
This is from Washington, triggering a collective of citizens sleuths known as Cooperites to circle the wagons. A team of private investigators says their codebreaker has definitively identified the man who hijacked a commercial plane in 1971. And hey, I was born in 71. And parachuted off with $200,000 ransom, never to be seen again. This is a quote now. Our criminal investigation is finished, said Thomas Colbert, a journalist, might be Colbert, a journalist and film producer who assembled the 40-member team. We have the man. We know who he is. Gathered on February 1st outside of FBI headquarters in Washington to make it look more official, no doubt. The team said their decryption of several letters sent to newspapers, of several letters sent to newspapers in the days following the skyjacking confirm what they have believed for several years. You ready?
Go for it, Steve.
I don't
Break
have
it to
any
me.
I need a drum roll.
Break it to me easy though. No, no.
DB Cooper.
No, it's a stretch that you even do the fucking bumper for the news. Stop it.
DB Cooper is in fact Bob.
Da, da.
Bob.
Some say he is.
Is this
Robert Robert W. Rackstraw Sr., by the way, is who DB Cooper allegedly is. He's a Vietnam War veteran and former U.S. Army paratrooper who now lives near San Diego. Rackstraw's name actually came up in the original Cooper investigation in the 70s, and the connection was spurred on in part by a reply that he made to a news reporter on camera. He said he's afraid of heights with a smile, but of course he's a paratrooper, so he can't be. He said he could have been. He can't commit himself on something like that. Colbert included the clip in a 2016 History Channel documentary of his earlier findings, but the Washington Post quoted DB Cooper authority Jeffrey Gray that year as saying Rackstraw was never a serious suspect. I think it's him. There's a photo, if you go to this article, it's courthousenews.com, a photo of the guy, and he actually does look a lot like Mr. Cooper, minus the glasses.
Nice.
The drawing, of course. Ooh, Bigfoot family.
I thought you meant Dean.
We got, yeah. Well, we can't tell because he hides under that big old white fluffy beard thingy. So this is from.
I'd just like to know that the FBI raided Dean Cooper's house, and all his parent would say afterwards is, "Where's the fucking money?"
This is from The Sun because it's nice and shiny there. Bigfoot family. This is what it says. Mysterious footage shows Bigfoot and two hairy babies roaming in the woods. A hiker is said to have spotted a mysterious-looking animal deep in the woods and managed to videotape it before it darts off. By the way, it's all blurry and grainy. Clip has been...
I was getting my hopes up, Steve. I thought this was the real thing.
Oh, it is. A clip has been posted that allegedly shows a walker approaching a dark figure making its way through the dense woods. The man filming it zooms in, trying to get a clearer image of the face, but, of course, the Bigfoot quickly darts out of the shot, and that's where the video cuts out. The location and time is not confirmed. Nobody will tell you. The footage. Oh God, Richard.
Good stuff, Steve.
The footage was uploaded to YouTube channel NVTV, which is a known YouTube channel for this sort of thing. And of course,
wait a minute. What sort of thing is that, Steve?
Ambiguous ape-like creatures on video.
Oh,
yes. Some believe they could make out two smaller animals following the main animal. One comment read, "It's real, and it has two young ones. The Bigfoot leaves them behind and walks forward, directing the attention away from the small ones, because that's what Mama Bigfoots do."
And then a redneck from California shot him.
Oh, geez.
Out of season, by the way.
One commenter simply said, "This is a hoax." The end.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it. That's all you need to know about that video. It's a hoax. NVTV is known for putting those kinds of hoax videos, basically, or alleged hoax videos up. So
bullshit.
Yeah. Daily Star. Oh, remember that woman who married the pirate ghost? We did a story on her.
Jack Sparrow.
Well, we got an update. So the woman who married the 300-year-old pirate ghost has revealed the secrets of their sex life.
Nice.
She says her name is Amanda Teague, by the way. She says the pair of them go on dates. And have passionate sex. Amanda, who previously worked as Captain Jack Sparrow's, as a Captain Jack Sparrow impersonator, hopes the taboo around ghost sex will soon be removed because that's a real taboo subject.
Yeah, just ask Doris Bither.
She has a name for it too, by the way. It's called spectrophilia.
Good stuff, Steve.
Oh Lord. Do I want to read more? I guess I will. It's kind
Steve,
of
it looked pretty enjoyable in the first Ghostbusters.
Yeah. It's kind of the final taboo because we're supposed to be okay with anything these days. So
pretty sure Dan Aykroyd got blown by a ghost in that movie, Steve.
I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All these different terminologies have to be politically correct, whether we think it's true or it's not. You can't give people abuse over it. Spectrophilia has been around for thousands of years, but people don't really talk about it. Maybe because it doesn't exist. Amanda has also offered crucial advice on how to achieve spirit satisfaction. Oh boy, I can't wait.
It's called a vibrator.
Jack. She says Jack chose her because she is dominant and difficult, but also very loyal. She also revealed that several of her friends regularly have sex with ghosts. Amanda said, "I know one woman who has sex orgies with lots of ghosts, and she loves it."
They all just happen to be in the bodies of these men that hang out.
She's not going to come out and say it just like you wouldn't if you were doing it with a physical person in your private life, but she does in fact have ghost sex.
Nice, Steve.
Oh boy. The woman she was talking about who has the sex orgies with ghosts is also married to a real physical human being, man, and he joins in sometimes.
Are any of these fucking ghost orgies on Pornhub?
I don't know.
I'd be interested, Steve.
I would love to see how that's achieved. I mean, I'm not going to. I don't want to be a spectrophilia or spectrophiliac. I don't know what the term is. But
hey, if that woman wants to post a video of her fucking ghost orgy, I'll watch it.
Yeah, she's not all that attractive in my mind. I mean, she played Jack Sparrow. She's not all that.
She's not the one having orgies.
Yeah, well, no, not the orgy girl. I don't know what the orgy girl looks like. She didn't give her name.
She's just having sex with one ghost. She's fucking milquetoast, Steve. She's fucking old hat. I want to see the fucking one that has the orgies.
Well, yeah, because she only has. Yeah, you're right. Multi-specter sex. I like that.
Yeah.
Google is killing magic. This is according to the Express. Google is killing magic, and the internet superpower is destroying mystic forces, claims a witch. Technology is more powerful than magic. Well, according to one of the country's top white witches, who has warned internet giants such as Google, they are killing sorcery. Marion Green, 77, a seasoned white witch and author.
Jesus, he couldn't even make it through the news without his internet fucking up.
Yeah, whatever. Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh. Well, see, Google's ruining magic.
It's ruining the Fortean Slip.
Yeah. Am I still messed up?
Yes.
All right. Well, we can end the show,
Yeah, it's over.
Or
It's
can I
over.
do this? Can I do...
No, you can just shut up and let me end the show. This has been the Fortean Slip, episode 14. If you like this bag of shit, hit the little thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the little thumbs down button. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Check out Richard's Bigfootin' with Keith and Colin on Facebook. Check out Matt Knapp at youtube.com/bigfootcrossroads. As always, check out Dred Funn at dredfun.com and youtube.com/Dred Funn. Next week, we will be back with another riveting show. I don't know what it'll be on. I'll try to think of something. But until then, see ya!